Happy Wednesday. Hey, Nicole Donnelly, happy Wednesday. How are you, my friend?
Kurt Anderson, happy Wednesday. It's
Man,
a
you know
beautiful
what? I
Wednesday.
like it better when you and I are in person. We got to spend last week in person, but I'll take virtual. That it's better than nothing. So, man, dude, were you able to sleep last night? Like, how excited are you for this little jam session today? This is going to be where heat? Can you feel the heat? Like, can you feel like we're talking solar? Can you feel the heat coming on already?
Oh, for sure. We've got some major powerhouses on the show today. I've had it's been so wonderful to work with these two wonderful people over the last several months. So this is going to be a great conversation. So much value for any installers out there who are really looking to design the best systems for their customers possible and avoid some of the biggest issues. So I can't wait to talk with Mike Henderson and Jamie at MT Solar and dive into this amazing topic. Thanks for being with us, guys.
All right,
Thank you.
let's dive in. So, Mike, you and I, we go back a ways, dude. Like in COVID times, like dog years, like we go back like decades, right? I think you and I met in like 2020, 2021-ish or so. And so we came together. I was doing some work with different MEPs. We got together at a webinar jam session. And so you are a fierce marketer at MT Solar. Mike Henderson, can you please explain to the folks who and what is MT Solar? How do you guys make the world a better place?
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kerry. Yeah, it has been. I really do enjoy being on your show, and I like being in the audience and just listening to you guys. I've learned a lot over the years. So, thanks for having us. I guess MT Solar, for those the uninitiated, I think there are probably some people here today that know who we are, but I can kind of back it out and give a good overview. We're a USA-based manufacturer. We're in the solar industry, and we manufacture a specific type of mounting structure for solar arrays, and they go on the ground, and they use a pole to raise them up off of the ground, and that's really the benefit and the kind of the golden MT Solar is that we're moving solar arrays up off of the ground where you can still use the ground beneath your solar arrays, which kind of differentiates us from other ground mount based solar. It kind of sticks lower to the ground, so you get benefits of shedding off snow. You can have animals graze underneath them. You can put a picnic table. We've had some that are next to pools or like a pool shade deck. You can park cars and so forth. So what we're doing is we're trying to give solar a good name by getting the solar up on the ground and making the ground underneath it still usable. And then we prefer to work with solar installers directly, people that are really close to the project, because each structure that we manufacture is really made for that specific site and the conditions that happen in that area. And Jamie's going to go over some of the details as to how we take a look at those factors and design something that's perfect for the site, that's not overbuilt. It kind of just fits into what they need for their customer, and or if they're the owner, so that they can pass something on to their customer that's they can be proud of.
Well, that's perfect. So, Nicole, I know, man, we've got some really deep dive questions. And so, for folks, you can't go anywhere without seeing solar. It's great energy efficiency. Jamie, just before we dig into a lot of these juicy questions that we have lined up, share a little bit about how do you make the world a better place? Your role at MT Solar, what's going on in your world?
Well, at MT Solar, I do a lot of the designs. I act as a liaison and a friend for the customer, and try to make sure that they're getting the best product that fits their needs, and trying to do it all in a timely fashion and getting their projects going.
Well, love it. All right. All right, Nicole, sleeves are rolled up. Let's dive right in. I know we've got some great, let's make it happen.
So we're talking all about design today. And so to just kind of kick off our conversation for listeners and those folks out there that are doing these projects ongoing, what are the top factors that need to be considered when you're designing a ground mount solar system?
I would say probably the top factors would be your tilt at any time of year, site specifications like your wind exposure, how far you need it up off the ground, the modules you're using, and how many.
Awesome. I'm excited to talk about all of these wonderful factors today. So let's dive into that. Let's first start with tilt, Jamie. So when you're looking at the tilt of the arrays, how does this affect snow and wind loading in your project design? What should people be thinking about there when it comes to tilt?
Well, people should be ultimately thinking about production at any time of the year. So the sun is often low, or is always lower in the winter. So your tilt is always going to be steeper for your best production, and vice versa for the summer. So you also want to be thinking at that point, what's going to shed your snow the best. We're talking about lateral loading and then top-down loading as well. So you're really going to want to design for that best for your area. So when we're talking about like high snow areas, you want to make sure that you've got a nice steep tilt. When doing so, you're kind of reducing that double load factor from the top and the side. So you want to kind of design for that. Your controlling load is right there at that area. And that's going to keep your costs down as well, because you're not going to be overbuilding that rack.
Very good. Now, so if I'm an installer, how do I know and figure out what is the right tilt based on my snow and wind loads?
You're going to want to go off of your latitude. So anytime it's winter, you're usually going to go about 15 degrees higher than your latitude, and the opposite for the snow or for the summer. So 15 degrees lower. And that's going to be the best production. And it's also going to be the best snow shedding to reduce those loads.
Very good. And I imagine the tilt will need to change. How easy is it to change the tilt when the seasons change? Like, what does that process look like?
It's very easy. There is a manual handle that you will just crank. And what that does is it just adjusts that tilt. If you have a multi-pole, it's a little bit more difficult, but not terribly. You have a friend there who can do one pole with you, or you can just do about 5 cranks on each pole. First at the first pole, then go to the next one, do 5 cranks. So you can do it all by yourself, or if you have a partner, it's going to be even easier.
We love having a partner, right? It always makes everything easier.
Good to have a friend.
Makes everything easier, Nicole. And hey, for those of us that live in the snow belt in New York, like this is a great conversation to have, because we get tons of snow. So these are great tips, Jamie. Can I go rogue for a second here, Nicole? Like, how about so we're talking about snow. What about like Phoenix? What about the real hot weather areas?
So Phoenix is closer to the equator, so you're going to have a shallower tilt anyway. So snow's not so much a concern down there. And you're also not really needing to have that steep tilt for that better production. So it's kind of a win-win.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. I was just curious for the other folks in the hot area. So take it away, Nicole.
That's great. Let's talk about wind a little bit. I imagine, depending on the location of where your project is going to be installed, wind exposure really can make a big difference in terms of how you're designing your system. So how does, if I'm an installer and I'm trying to figure out what the winds look going to be like, how do I figure out wind exposure, what the categories are? You start there, and then how does that affect design?
Yeah. So there's 3 categories when it comes to engineering. There's B, which is sheltered. So that's like trees or buildings that are like, 20 to 30 feet tall, that are near in the area. I think the code says like within 1,500 feet. C would be open. So that is, on like a plains area. And then D would be like coastline with water or big lakes or anything like that. So you really want to design for the correct wind exposure. Say you're designing at C when you're actually in a B area, you're really going to be beefing that rack up more than you need to. So you really want to get that right so that you're getting what you want, but not overpaying for something you don't need.
I love it. Like I can follow the alphabet, A, B, C, D, 4 categories. That makes it really easy, right? So very nice. And there's no overlap there. So it sounds like it's pretty straightforward, pretty cut and dry. Like it doesn't matter where you're located, latitudinally, longitudinally, as long as you're within those
Yep,
categories,
it's
correct?
just in your immediate area there.
Very nice. Okay, that's awesome. And next question is, when you're designing your pole mount system, do you need the actual modules and dimensions of the solar arrays that are being used in order to design a system? How does that work? Do you need to figure out your pole mount system first? Do you have your arrays first? What's the order of operations, and how do you kind of factor that all in?
Nope, it's very, very important that you get the correct dimensions. Solar modules or solar panels come in a wide variety of sizes. Anywhere from like 50 all the way up to like 96, I think is the biggest one I've seen. So you really want to get the accurate dimensions on that. That way the rack is built and it's able to support the entire array itself. Modules have a certain limit for their overhang before they kind of get too heavy on one side. So you want to make sure that you reduce that, make sure that it's the proper size, and also you want to make sure you get the right rail lengths.
Very good. Very good. And what are your thoughts on the orientation of the arrays? I understand that there can be a landscape orientation versus portrait orientation. Are all of the modules that you guys support in landscape orientation, or how does that work?
All of ours are in landscape, yes. And the reason for that is most of them are not rated for the span between our I-beams. It's quite long. So even if they are, it can be kind of difficult to make that fit well. So landscape is optimal with our mounts.
Okay. Is there ever an application where the other orientation would be better?
I don't see an advantage really. If you could make it fit and if it is rated for that span, absolutely, you could make it happen. But I don't really see an advantage either way.
Okay.
As far as production
from a design perspective, as far as production goes, either works just fine. And landscape in that case would be a great option. Okay. Very good. Awesome.
Hey, Nicole, I have a question. So, Jamie, I am just so impressed with your expertise, your passion, and what's great when you open it up. And so, somebody catching this, they're like, boy, we're really geeking out into like, solar solutions. But this can be representative for any manufacturer listening that, like, hey, we want to do business with you. You're showing you're passionate, your empathy, how you care for your clients. How did you become such an expert? Like, how did you, as a little girl, where you're like, hey, I want to grow up and be a solar expert? Like, how did you bring your superpowers? Like, this is so impressive. Can you just share, like, how did you derive such a passion for solar and go in this direction with your career?
Well, I definitely didn't think I was going to do this as a little girl. But I am a nature lover, so I've always been a big fan of renewables, keeping things pristine. I love to hike and camp and do all the things outside. So if we could keep it that way a little bit longer and for our future, that's great. I also work for an awesome team. Our company is really great. Our leaders are really great. So it makes it easy.
It makes it all right. Nicole, that might have been on drop the mic. Can we go into, we're talking design. Would this be a good opportunity? Could we slide into our little configurator conversation? Is this a good opportunity now for that? Is that we're getting a thumbs up? Okay. Michael, let's pull you on the stage. So Nicole, did you know Mike's a repeat offender on the program, by the way, Mike. So it's just, might need to find new friends. I'm just teasing. So Mike was on the show with Travis, and man, you guys lit up. You talk about having this, the chat box was on fire. We were talking about the configurator. You went through a full demo. Now, when I say the word configurator, guys, if that's new to anybody out there, just, as a manufacturer out there, or really any space that you're in, what your solution is, as you're telling from Jamie and from Mike, they are dedicated to that customer experience, just really hitting the ball out of the park. What this configurator is folks can land on the website and create a product. So say whatever product you're making, somebody could come on and create that product. Mike, you guys have hands down one of the most sophisticated configurators I've ever witnessed. You ran through a full demo. Can you just share with folks a little bit on the background and what, when they land on MT Solar, what's that experience look like for them?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll give you just like a little historical context that, back in the good old days, we had a table you could look up kind of what your needs were for your solar array when you were planning it. And the industry made standard sizes in solar modules and so forth. But what happened, the industry really threw us a curveball, and all these module manufacturers started producing wild sizes, and everything went a little crazy for us. And we wanted to give our customers a better way to really design a mount that fits their situation. And so we went on some deep dives on building a configurator and how to do this, and we've luckily found some great talent. And so what we build is a system that takes all the inputs for the site conditions into account, and that includes the module sizes and how much power they want to generate, and the things that Jamie's talking about, wind and snow and so forth. And you put all of those into our configurator, and then it polls, it does a live query of all those conditions at the site based on the location. And so what we're doing, we call it pre-engineering. It tests for all those forces on our mounts, and then it kind of slowly starts at the smallest duty class, kind of the lightest one, which is the least expensive, and then it kind of starts to work its way up in the testing to get us to where it fits what they need, and then it stops without overbuilding it. So we can try to keep the prices efficient for the customer, so they don't have to overbuild it, but it still fits what they need at their site. And so the configurator has some pretty neat technology built into it, with querying engineering codes from around the country and some of that sort of stuff. So and we just launched it this year, earlier this year, and that's when we were on the show talking about it, and getting it into our customers' hands and trying to figure out what they need and how we can improve it and so forth. And Jamie's here. We've learned a lot since then, and Jamie's here to provide some ideas as to how to think about things when you're using the tool, and how to get your designs. And there's so many options really, and it's awesome. You can do whatever you want with the tool, but that many options also becomes a problem if if you don't know what to do with it. So that's why we're here talking about some best practices.
Yeah, I have to say, I just love your whole approach to how you've been able to marry e-commerce with manufacturing and with the sales team, and really positioning your sales team as these high-level consultants who are there to help support, while also creating an amazing digital self-serve experience for your customers, where they can self-select and get a lot of their questions answered through the website before even talking to your sales team. And that is just, I think, just the gold mine for manufacturers out there of a solution, a transformation, an e-commerce transformation that can really work for some of these complex products that people are making, like pole mount solar. So I just commend you, because I think this is the path forward for so many manufacturers who manufacture custom products, is really elevating the reps to be more of those consultants, and allowing the e-commerce store to serve as like the sales admin, providing that support early on. So kudos to you guys for building that out. It's exciting.
Yeah, thanks. We want our customers to be able to self-serve, whatever time they have to jump into this, and maybe they need to get a bid to their customer in the next hour. And if they can hop on and do it and get that together, then that's great. But, we're also here to help them and provide advice. And so if we can be involved in their project and be close to it, we're more than happy to do that too.
Very good.
That's fantastic. Nicole, we've got a couple of questions in the chat box. Is this a good time to dig into those real quick?
Let's do it. Yeah. Looks like we got one from Paul Dershka. The MT
Baseball.
Solar Sky Designer is a remarkable tool to visualize and maximize the available area to implement a PV array. I recently discovered that the SkySieve software has a steel base plate designer. As I'm not an engineer, is there a way to get the modeling software to offer a base plate alternative to the concrete foundation design? Wow, that is a really meaty question. Jamie, Mike, what do you think?
I think there might be in the future. At this time, we don't have anything to address it. Most base plate designs do require like a stamped engineering process. So that's a little bit more difficult to kind of just automate there. I'm sure Travis has been thinking about it as he is always throwing around these ideas. But right now, we don't have anything to offer that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like we've tried to set up this system so that once the design kicks through our SkySieve software, we can immediately support the customer in the permitting process. And so part of the limitation that we don't have the base plate yet is that we found engineers that are willing to work with us in all 50 states and take what we put out of our system and stamp it for them so that they can get the local permitting. So the base plate design is still possible, but the permitting and engineering is a little more complicated, and we don't have the efficiency to push that through as quickly for our customer. But yeah, so that's kind of where we are. But we have looked at it, and we have used base plates on our systems in the past, and right now we're kind of going with what does the most for most of our customers.
Mm-hmm. Great answer. We've got another question coming in, and not sure who it's from, but how about rails? Are all rail manufacturer rails okay? What do we think of that question?
All manufacturers, possibly, not all types. So you can't use like a lighter duty rail, like a roof rail, that just doesn't support the spans with our I-beams. So you have to use a heavy duty rail. For that, we do work with Tamarack. They've made a custom extruded rail for our mounts specifically that splice together so they have a little bit more structural stability. So we prefer those, but you are welcome to use another kind of heavy duty rail if that's something that you prefer.
Awesome.
Man, I'll tell you, Jamie is so impressive. And by the way, how about Larry? Happy Wednesday to you, my friend. So, Jamie, I know you're very modest, very humble. Plug your ears, close your eyes, but look at this comment here, Nicole. Jamie, you might want to put this one in your fridge when you get home tonight, right? MT Solar has been a fabulous partner to work with. Jamie has consistently been a great resource, sharp, knowledgeable, stays on top of my projects. Great to change a tilt at will. These guys are capital GREAT to work with. So how about another drop the mic right there? And you guys are just getting a great sense of just the passion, the enthusiasm, and the expertise that these guys bring. And boy, if you want to catch Travis on our last episode, it's just as equally on fire. So Nicole, let's get back to our questions and get rolling for everybody here.
Let's dig in. Let's get technical. Let's do it. So the next question I have, we talked about tilt, we talked about wind exposure and how that impacts design. We talked about the ABCD wind exposure categories. Super, super helpful for someone like me who loves, simplicity. So, and we talked about the modules and dimensions. So the next question is all about ground clearance. So as you're thinking about ground clearance for your project, how does that affect the overall value of an array?
Well, it really depends on how you're going to be using your ground mount. Where we kind of shine is with our ground clearance. It allows you to use the area below the mount, whether it be a shading structure, a patio, parking, anything like that. If you're in a difficult area to install, such as a sloped area, having that additional ground clearance can really help out there. If your AHJ has any rules against low exposed wires, that prevents you from needing to put a fence up, also protects you from vandalism, livestock, wildlife, anything like that. So, and then any snow on the ground. So if you're up here in Montana and you've got a couple feet, you're able to kind of clear that and then avoid getting damage on your modules. So it's really all about how you're using your rack and what your requirements are there.
Very good to know. And it's just truly remarkable to think about all of like the dual use cases for pole mount solar that you can use. Like I've seen some really wonderful examples, and I know you guys have some on your website of, carport structures, even shading structures for pools in your backyard. And I just think that's so amazing that these can be dual use in so many different ways for agriculture, for, agrivoltaics, as you guys have talked about before too. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
We've got a couple more questions, Kurt. Man,
hey, let's pull them up here. So, hey, we've got Darren Bishop in the house. Darren, happy Wednesday to you, my friend. Any dual access tracking options in the works? And hey, look at this dude who's popped in here. Travis, happy Wednesday to you, brother. So, man, Nicole, we got to get Travis back on. But dual access is really expensive to manufacture, and the cost benefit rarely ever justified, in my humble opinion. And he also says panel prices have dropped so much over the years. What, I think I missed one right here. I wanted this one. We have an awesome patent on dual access, but so far does not make sense from what I can pencil. And lastly, Travis says panel prices have dropped so much over the years that it seems to make more sense. And if, hey, my grandfather had an expression, if it makes sense, SENSE, it might make sense as CENTS. Travis, you're seeing that right there. It might make more sense just to put more of them. Jamie, anything that you want to add to this little conversation that we have going in the chat box?
Travis pretty much hit it on the heid there.
Travis.
Dual access trackers are exciting, and it's pretty neat technology. But I think what we found is that if it moves, it needs maintenance or it might break, and you're probably better off putting a little more of that money instead of a tracker into some panels, because the prices in modules have dropped. So when you're talking about output and so forth, that's probably where I put my money, is in a few more modules.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know, Jamie, throughout the program so far, you're sharing how like you're very cost conscious. You guys are focused on efficiency. You're focused on just really maximizing that value. It's a big investment for folks taking this plunge, and it's just great having a trusted partner like yourselves. We're like, I know you have our back. And, you guys are doing all the due diligence, all the homework. Travis is like rolling up his sleeves, exploring everything. You guys even have patents on some of these products. And so it's just great having that trusted value partner. Nicole, what else is on our list here as we're rolling along?
Yeah, man, we just more to come, right? So the next big question, and I'm sure this is one that you guys get a lot, is permitting, right? With so many different permitting requirements, depending on your local jurisdiction, state. Like I can only imagine if I'm a solar installer, that can feel really overwhelming, just trying to navigate that whole process and making sure from a permitting perspective that I'm designing the system in the best way that's going to meet those regulations and all of that. So let's talk a little bit about that. Jamie, could you just share a little bit about what kind of information MT Solar provides through this process to help get past the local permitting?
Well, our design tool is, as we've said, pretty top notch. So that comes out with a 30-some page report. It's full of calculations that most of us don't want to take a look at. But if you do need to get permitting or engineering or anything of that sort, you can take that entire packet straight to them. It's got all the information right there for them. So it should make that process a little bit easier and streamlined, and better for you all the way around to get things rolling.
And the beautiful part about that is it just goes back to that digital self-selection process, where within minutes of speccing out your specific dimensions of what you need, you have access to that full packet of engineering drawings and information that you can take. So it just streamlines and creates some efficiencies for the installers to get that information as quickly as possible, rather than having to get on the phone or wait for it to come by email, etc. So I think that's remarkable. Very good.
Yeah. Another question here, Nicole, and Mike mentioned that earlier. It's just, for any manufacturer catching us, just dedicating yourself to that digital self-serve. how can you just really focus on the customer, providing those solutions, making it helpful on your website? Question here, Mike and Jamie. And again, I see Travis dropped a note. Better to use bifacial panels. And Travis chimes in, yes. Bifacial are great, and an open high clearance pull mounts, definitely a win-win. Mike, Jamie, anything that you want to contribute to that conversation?
Yeah, you can definitely get some better production using a bifacial, especially with that high ground clearance, as Travis mentioned. Also, you can put, in certain situations, you can put something down on the ground that will reflect it back, reflect the light back towards it, and that can increase your production as well.
Awesome. How about Mike, anything that you want to add?
I think Jamie's got it covered.
Jamie got it covered. Jamie's, man, what's life without Jamie, right? So, all right, Nicole, let's keep it rolling. What's next on our docket?
Yeah, this bifacial is really interesting. It seems like, is this kind of like the newest and latest technology when it comes to solar arrays? Are you seeing that more and more projects are going in this direction? Like, what do you see looking forward when it comes to bifacial arrays and the future of solar?
I think it's just going to keep growing. It is definitely one of the newer technologies, and we are seeing it more and more. It's a win-win. Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. We'll keep it going here. All right. So the next thing just to talk about is troubleshooting. Like, what are some of the most common design flaws or issues that you guys have seen? And what do you recommend that installers can do to kind of prevent those and get ahead of that so that those don't happen?
I would say your biggest one is using that tilt. We always suggest that you use your winter tilt. And as we said before, that is mainly to reduce that snow loading. So instead of having it at a flat tilt where you've got all of that weight coming down from the top, you're going to have it at a steeper tilt anyway for your best production. So you can negate that loading there. And oftentimes that can keep your I-beam size down or your pipe down, which in turn is going to keep your costs down.
Very good.
Awesome. Hey, and we've got a comment here, Nicole, from Don Woods. Don, happy Wednesday, my friend. Thanks for joining us today. They also look nice in high visibility areas. And so that's another great point of like aesthetically looking pleasant. So thank you, Don, for your contribution. Nicole, what do we have next?
Yeah, so that's the last question I have here is just about designs. Again, just common design flaws in this. This just goes back to installers who are struggling with their designs failing. Do you have any other tips on what installers can do when their designs aren't working quite the way they would like them to?
Yeah, definitely just keep an eye on those loads. If you've got a high wind or snow, adjust accordingly as far as tilt. You can also go down in clearance or maybe from a 5-high configuration to a 4-high. If you've got a higher wind and snow load, that span on the rails, keeping that closer to the I-beams can often help quite a bit, or even breaking it down from one larger array into a couple smaller ones. Always, installing a 2 or 3 pole is way easier anyway than doing a 4 or 5 pole. So if you're considering that, you can also throw in a little bit of labor saving when it comes to that as well. So again, keeping that cost down.
Love it. Very good. Yeah,
Excellent.
it's pretty amazing to think about these pole mount systems because you are installing a structure into the ground with concrete that has to be dug up and everything. So I love your point there about, as much as possible, how can you create some efficiency in that initial build process by minimizing the amount of poles that you have to, install. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, Jamie, by chance, did a little show and tell? Did we want to show off anything? Do we want to show any examples or anything on the website that you wanted to pull up here today?
Yeah, I've got a few slides here I can show you.
Excellent.
So I just have Yep. So this is just what our AutoDesigner looks like. all of these fields over here come pre-populated, so you're just going to want to fill those out for your site-specific design factors. This one is just kind of an example of how you can save your money. I ran this one. Let's see, on the wrong one. Here we go. I ran this design at a shallow tilt of 35 degrees with a high snow load of 40 PSF, which is it's a pretty high snow load and a pretty shallow tilt. Anytime you've got a high snow load, generally over 45 is kind of the tipping point there. So the price on this design came out at $8,715.18, which is fine. But when I ran it at a 50-degree tilt with that 40 PSF, you could see that price went down significantly. So just by using my winter tilt, I was able to save just over $1,000. So just kind of a little example of how using the right design factors can really help you to save as well as get a better passing design. This one passed with a 6-inch pole and an SD frame. The other one was an 8-inch pole and an HD frame, which is where your costs go up.
So you're saving on those steel posts as well when they go down in size, and so there's even more savings than just the 1,300 that you show in there, because that doesn't include the steel post.
Absolutely.
Well, that's fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah. And we've got so hey, and let's come back. We've got a question here. And LinkedIn user here. So, hey, thank you for joining us today as we're chatting with Mike and Jamie from MT Solar. I have a 5-high, 15 mount, 8 feet high. Need to replace a few panels. Better to drop the array or repair in place? Travis says, I would probably tilt straight up and repair in place from the front with a ladder against the array like a wall, but dropping is not out of line either. Miss Jamie, do you have anything to contribute to this conversation?
I would ask where those panels are located. If they are the center panels that are already over the pole, it might be worth just doing it up in the air. If they're on the lower end, higher end, it all just kind of depends a little bit as to the ease of the location of those panels.
Excellent. Okay. Man, is this impressive. Gosh. All right. So we got Jamie chimed in.
I think Jamie knows a few things about how to do this right.
Man,
Kurt, I think she's done this a little bit.
Well, yeah, once or twice, right, Jamie? Just and you took a course over the weekend, and now you're an expert, right? So no, this is really impressive amount of information that you have. That you mentioned. You know what, Nicole? If we've ran through our questions, let's touch on the team real quick. I know, like I've had the honor and privilege, Mike. We've been fast friends for many years. Relationship with Travis, Nicole. You've been working with a team. We're getting to know Jamie here. Talk, Jamie, and then I'm going to come to you, Mike. You know what? I'll start with Mike first, and I'll come back to you, Jamie. Mike, talk a little bit about the team. You've been on the team for how long? Talk about like how you've watched the company grow. Let's get underneath the hood a little bit on MT Solar, please.
Oh boy, I've been associated with MT Solar for over 10 years now, I think, right. Or somewhere in that range. But I've been full time working with the companies, since 2020, and I really enjoy this team. They're awesome people to work with. We meet every morning and talk about any issues any of our customers have and the way we can improve their experience and try to solve any kind of problems. And there's always so many factors to consider for everyone that's working with us. And we have some people that are really experienced in solar and design, and not just pole mounts, but the founder of our company, has a lot of experience in solar installation in general, and worked in that for years, and is where our company sprang up for, was that he decided, well, maybe there's a better way to do this. After some jobs where he was hanging off some ladders and scaffolding and
Yeah.
and so forth. And that's where we have the patented hoisted system, which allows you to work on the ground, which keeps the installer safe, and it's efficient. And it's a much easier way to set out your whole system and apply the modules to the racking and so forth. And so yeah, that's a neat feature of our mount, is that sort of installation efficiency and working on the ground, and then getting the ground clearance after the fact. You can hoist it up into the air, and then now you've got that ground underneath it. And so that's Travis Jordan. He's the genius behind the hoisting system, and we've got a few other people on our sales team that are just awesome, really customer service oriented, and you can tell from a couple of the comments that Jamie is a star.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
So couple things I want to point out real quick, Mike, is just the fierce, just relentless dedication to innovation. And we've seen, you're talking about different patents that you guys have. Solar is a cutting edge technology in itself. And, again, if you guys, man, I'd love for you to go back. You can go on our website. You can see the previous interview with Mike and Travis. And we took a deep dive into your configurator, because it's one thing like, hey, we can be dedicated to our product and you kind of ignore or forget technology. But you guys are dedicated, not being the best kept secret. You're the marketer, getting that message out there. And again, providing that digital self-serve. And another thing I want to throw out there as entrepreneurs, taking that risk. Like, it's not guaranteed that this patent is going to pay off. Like, I don't know if anybody checked lately, Nicole, patents are not cheap, man. And, going into that configurator, our show, we do a lot with e-commerce. Configurators are not also, inexpensive investment. So my hat's off to you guys. Hats off to you, Travis, and the team that you've put together, and how your dedication, just your fierce, just wonderful attitude towards innovation and towards customer success. Jamie, from your perspective, you mentioned team when we kicked off the program, and when I asked you, what attracted you to this world, this industry, just share a little bit of insight from your perspective. What's so wonderful about MT Solar, your team, and how you guys are just working diligently with your clients.
Yeah, we have a rock star team all the way around. A lot of different strengths that kind of just build everybody up, from the customer service side all the way back to the ingenuitive side. And even the guys down in the shop, they do things so efficiently. It's really impressive what they can do over there with as small of a team as we do have being up here in rural Montana. So yeah, just a lot of different talents that really make this a versatile and awesome team.
Wow, very impressive. And I'll tell you, kudos to Travis for, being the fearless leader and just kind of, running. Nicole, as you like to say, and maybe this is appropriate for our friends in Montana, you always say like running herd, right? So Travis is running herd and just really being a leader and a pioneer in the solar industry, and just putting together, I would quote Jamie, a rock star team. And it's just, and you're getting a taste of, like, when a customer comes in, you get the expertise of Travis, you get patented products, you get Jamie, who's like covers all those blind spots that you might have of when you're putting in these installs. I think we had one more comment here, Nicole, if we want to pull that one up here. FYI, use a short piece of aluminum hex stock inserted in the adjuster and an electric drill instead of the manual handle. Makes tilt change faster. Any comments to that, Mike? You get a little chuckle of that one. What do you guys think of that comment?
Yep. If it has a trigger and a battery, it's pretty fun to use. And we have seen some installers do that to get a quick tilt going. And we're working on a system too that can accommodate that to make those faster and easier for our customers. So yeah,
nice.
Love that resourcefulness. So great.
Jamie, any comments on your end?
I was just gonna say, I think that's definitely been an idea that we've been floating around for a while, and we're hoping to make that happen, actually.
It's fun to see the ingenuity of the installers.
Yeah, we love hearing those ideas too, because it just gets the gears turning.
Absolutely.
Resourcefulness. Yeah, and I would just like to add to what Kurt was saying, just from our experience working with you. It's been really quite special to see how much evangelism there is with your customers. How much they really truly advocate and love the MT Solar brand, and that, hearing directly from them and just seeing and experiencing that with how much they engage with the communications that you're sending out and everything, just as a testament, that there's such advocacy there. It's a testament to your fierce commitment to that, creating that customer experience, getting the feedback, and talking about those challenges on a daily basis and how you're going to solve them. And even just through this conversation, we've learned a lot about the customer experiences that you've cultivated through that for them, and how they design their system. They're not all alone on an island. You've really created this really great way where they have the independence and the efficiency to be able to self-select, but then also get that really nice handheld, what do you call that? High touch experience, So that combo is magic when you can provide a really easy, seamless e-commerce solution, but also be able to provide that high touch customer service. And I think that's a very clear differentiator for you and for your service that you're offering. So it's very exciting to hear about how, learn more about all of these design tips, and you being able to, again, continue on with that high touch service that you provide by coming on this platform like this, and talking about it and sharing these suggestions with your audience. It's just really cool. So, yeah.
That really touches into the mission, is to, make the install experience better, every step right there. We're talking about the planning phase now, and so forth through purchasing, and when you actually get onto the site and you're working with our product, we want every step of the way to be as easy as possible, and we're always trying to innovate to make that better.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, this was just, Nicole, I knew this was going to be good. I just didn't know it was going to be this good. So if we're going to wind down, first off, folks in the audience and the chats and the comments, thank you for joining us today. And if you've been sitting down kind of having lunch with us, or whatever time zone you're in, great opportunity if you want to kind of give a little stand and stretch. And you could give a big round standing ovation for our wonderful guests today, Mike and Jamie, for just absolutely crushing it. So a big thank you to you both. Mike, how about parting words of wisdom, parting thoughts, anything that you want to share with the crowd as we wind our program down today?
Yeah, just, I think as Nicole said, we're here to help. And if anyone has more questions for us, pop into the chat on our website. So a little pitch. We are going to do another webinar next week for folks that couldn't make it. That's on Tuesday. And so we're going to continue to go over some best practices and design tips. So if you have anything, you can drop in there and ask us some questions. But yeah, just thanks to anyone that made it out, and thanks for listening to us. And it's great to see Nicole and Kurt as well. So.
Absolutely. So guys, again, stop by mtsolar.us. And again, we're celebrating Made in US. It's manufacturing month. And so just great. Boy, you see a manufacturer out there, you have a friend, a family member, whatever, you hug them, high five them, give them a little pat on the back. I'd say our manufacturers are truly the heroes of our economy here in the US. My friend Jamie, what an honor, what a privilege. You are so impressive, and what an asset you are for the team at MT Solar. Any parting thoughts, words of wisdom that you would like to share with our guests today?
If you guys just need any help, you know where to find me. Yeah, I'm here for you.
She speaks softly, carries a big stick. So Jamie, thank you for sharing your expertise, your passion. Boy, thank you for as a girl dad, you are so impressive. And for young women out there, thinking that there's a great opportunity for folks in manufacturing. And Jamie, and for our women out there, we're trying to recruit folks into manufacturing. Jamie is just perfect proof of just incredible opportunities in just on cutting edge technology. Nicole, I just thought this was just a wonderful program. Thank you for the opportunity to share this on stage with you. How about your parting thoughts, words of wisdom that you want to share as we close out?
Oh man, you guys, I'm just soaking all of this wonderful magic, drop the mic moments in. So yeah, I don't really have anything to add that hasn't already been said, it's pretty cool, remarkable to see this customer experience in action, and really good to hear and understand all of the really big design tips. So the things that we learned today, the top design factors, just to kind of recap our conversation for those listening, the top design factors that you really need to be thinking about with your project is tilt, wind exposure, ground clearance, your local permitting and how to navigate that, and then orientation and dimensions of your arrays. So those are really the biggest, most important factors. And if you have any other questions or specific troubleshooting challenges of, any projects you're having, just reach out to the MT Solar team. They're very approachable and accessible, and of course, there to help with any of these challenges that you're having. So
Absolutely. So, guys, we will close out. Have a great, amazing rest of your week. Happy Manufacturing Month. And just, as we like to say, is and Nicole just pointed out these things on solar. A couple of things for our entrepreneurs and manufacturers out there: dedication to innovation, dedication to customer success. And boy, you will just crush it. And we'll close out. Guys, just keep being an inspiration to anybody out there, just like these guys here. Hey, we've got another comment from Larry. Larry, thanks for job. You're going to close us out. Hey, sticking another plug out there. These guys and gals at MT Solar are hands-on peeps. They work with all of their products. They know what works, how it works, and share how to make it all come together. Larry, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your comment. We appreciate you chiming in. So, guys, just be someone's inspiration, just like our dear friend Jamie, just like my dear buddy Mike Henderson, my good friend, my partner Nicole. Guys, God bless you. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you soon.
thanks for coming, everyone.
Yes.